I'll never forget that morning. It was pouring rain, and I was already running late for work. My mind was focused on the meeting I had to prepare for, my first big presentation since joining the company. I rushed out of the metro station, my umbrella barely holding up against the wind, when I noticed a man standing on the sidewalk. He was drenched, his clothes sticking to him as if the rain had soaked every fiber. He raised his hand and called out to me, "Excuse me, miss? Can you help me? I think I dropped my wallet." I slowed down just enough to catch a glimpse of him. He seemed like an ordinary man, the kind of person you would pass by on the street without a second thought. His voice was polite, even a bit desperate, but my instinct told me to keep walking. "I'm sorry, I'm late," I muttered, not even looking him in the eye, and hurried past him. When I arrived at the office, guilt started to creep in. Should I have stopped? But then I rationalized it. I didn't know him, and it wasn't safe to interact with strangers on a rainy street. Besides, I had bigger things to focus on. The day went by in a blur. By the time the meeting started, I had managed to calm myself and prepare. Our team was presenting to the new regional head, a person we had heard about but never met. The room was buzzing with excitement and nervous whispers as we waited for him to arrive. And then he walked in, my face drained of color. There he was, the same man from the street, now standing at the head of the table, wearing a crisp suit that still carried the aura of the rain-drenched figure I had ignored. He introduced himself with a calm authority that demanded respect, his sharp eyes scanning the room. When his gaze landed on me, he paused for a brief moment. Did he recognize me? My heart raced, and I silently prayed he wouldn't say anything. He didn't. Instead, he proceeded with the meeting as if nothing had happened, his tone professional and measured, but I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying the morning's encounter, the look in his eyes when I walked away, and the shame that now weighed heavily on me. After the meeting, I decided I had to speak with him. "Sir, may I speak with you for a moment?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He nodded, motioning for me to follow him to his office. Once inside, I struggled to find the words. I think I saw you this morning," I began, my face burning. His expression was unreadable as he leaned back in his chair. "Yes, I thought I recognized you too," he said, his tone neutral. My chest tightened. "I'm so sorry," I blurted out. "I was in a rush and I didn't stop to help. That was wrong of me." He didn't respond immediately, allowing the silence to stretch just long enough for me to feel the full weight of my regret. Then, he said, "It's easy to overlook people when we're caught up in our own lives. I've been guilty of it too." His words weren't accusatory, but they struck a chord. He continued, "What matters is what you take away from moments like these. We all have a choice to do better next time." I nodded, his forgiveness only making me feel more determined to be a better person. Over the next few months, I worked harder than ever, not just at my job, but at being more mindful of the people around me. And though he never mentioned that morning again, his quiet wisdom and leadership left a lasting impression on me. With time, I realized that it's the small moments and our priorities that define us as individuals. If I had stopped to help that morning, he may have thought of me differently, just as he had said. But that experience taught me that life always gives us a second chance, and it's up to us to recognize it and make the most of it. A few months later, when I saw him speaking on stage at a major corporate event, his words became even clearer. I realized that true leadership is about being honest with others and with yourself. That day, as I returned to work, I understood my responsibilities and the lessons he had imparted, now viewing everything with a new and better perspective. Sometimes, life teaches us lessons when we least expect them. For me, it was a rainy morning, a chance encounter, and a second chance to grow.